and it's quite insane thinking about it now. My goal for 2022 was that I was going to gain 1,000 followers on Instagram. I'm 5 followers away from that now, and that was for the whole year. And I'm like, fuck,
Very cool.
I've reached my 2022 goals in 3 months. I'm like,
that's crazy.
What are my next goal? Like,
yeah.
Welcome back to SelleTalks. In this episode, we have Henriette Husby joining us. She's the founder and show host of the podcast Business Talk with Henriette. She's the head of sales at Redata and is passionate about female entrepreneurship. So welcome to the podcast, Henriette.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here. It's the first time I've been invited to join a podcast, so I'm super excited how this is going to be, being on the other side of the table.
It's kind of weird because you're normally like asking the questions and interviewing. So I have never been on a podcast myself, so it's kind of, I don't know how it is yet. So yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
So we're kind of doing
and
a
I've been
podcast.
Like curious on you. I'm starting to get in this position. I'm starting to like asking you questions. So now I'm just going to calm down, let you ask my questions. And then I'm like,
you can just relax.
Chill out.
Yeah. So we're kind of doing a podcast collaboration. So that's the first to SelleTalks and Business Talk with Henriette. So you live in Denmark right now, right? And so can you share a little bit about your story and how you got into the whole podcasting?
Wow. Yeah, I'm quite scared this is going to be long. Like where should I start? I've always been doing so much. I've been doing like many different stuff. So I've been always curious about doing different stuff. So I started out, I was born in Trondheim in Norway. And then I started, just went to school like everyone does. And then I always been like, I want to have fun in my life. So I figured out in my high school, I wanted to do a dancing kind of course, or like in Norway we have something called like music, dance, and drama. So I chose like the dancing course in my high school. So I did like, it was almost to being like a top performer. Like I worked out so much in the week, like 30 hours dancing, and then I had courses. So I've been always doing a lot of stuff. So that was the
you
first thing.
You were an instructor at SOTS, right?
Yeah, so that's right.
Yeah.
Good research. Yeah, so that's also why I'm doing that now, because I always want to pursue the things that have been doing in my life. So that's why I continue doing that. But yeah, so I was doing dancing, always like to perform, always like to be in front of people, inspiring people, artsy, doing stuff with my body, with my voice, with everything of me, like, because it's so much of me. I'm like this redheaded girl coming out of the closet and be like, hello, and the energy is like all over the place. I don't know,
very
maybe
extroverted.
I have ADHD.
Very extroverted. So you're a good fit for the podcasting.
I'm very extroverted. What do you say?
A good fit for podcasting.
Well, thank you. Yeah. But I didn't think of when I was in high school that I should start a podcast. That was not my intention when I went to the dancing. I just like to perform and be out there. But I've always had like this business aspect in me. I didn't want to go out on the sideline only doing dancing. I've always been dreaming of coming into an office with suit on and head like hair up in a ponytail and be like strong businesswoman. That's been like my dream always.
Yeah.
So I decided to stop the dancing, like doing that full time. I started to think, okay, now I need to be a businesswoman. I want to earn money. I want to know how I can make a good business.
Yeah.
So I started study at Bay Norwegian Business School in Bergen, where you are from, actually.
My home city.
Yay! And we also talked about that. My mom is from the same city as you, so I feel
crazy.
kind of home speaking with you.
Yeah, nice. You like the dialect?
Yeah, I really like the dialect. It's also quite unusual speaking English, but I think it's going fine.
Yeah. But after
Kind
Bay,
of
what did you do? Did you go to, did you move to Denmark right after?
Yeah, so I'm continuing on the story. I went to be in Norwegian business school, and then I took a bachelor's degree in real estate. So that's also in line with me being like performing, convincing people, being in front of people. So I wanted to be a real estate agent selling homes. You're also on a stage when you're selling homes. You're there, you're welcoming people, you're speaking to people, you are like a seller, and you need to be good at being extroverted. And I've always been good at being kind of extroverted. So that was kind of my road. I've never been into numbers and financials and hard cracking numbers. I've been like out there. So I did real estate, worked for a couple of years in DNB Eindom as a trainee. During my studies, I also did some training instructing in Bergen as well, in SATS.
Nice.
Really, really love that. That's also the part of the performing thing of me, liking to inspire people. Yeah.
Put yourself out there.
Huh?
Like you like putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do. And I see it more and more now, because I see how much I'm enjoying speaking to other people and doing the podcast, because I feel like by making other people shine through my podcast and lifting other people up, I feel like I'm shining too in their spotlight, you know? Because as a leader, my mom told me this, that she has a lot of leader experience, and she says, like, as a leader, you cannot like be the one person who is like in front of everyone and everyone just looking up at you. As a leader, I think you should be lifting other people up, and then you will shine in their success.
For sure.
So that's something I really enjoy. But I moved to Copenhagen.
Yeah. And that was scary.
That was yeah.
Yeah.
Like being a small town girl from Norway, living in Trondheim and then Bergen, and then expanding, moving to Copenhagen, because I always wanted to do something more. I wanted to move out of the boundaries, out of little Norway. I could also tell you that my biggest dream in this world is to move to New York and just make it big there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm quite bold, and I think I'm also quite bold in my podcast, going into themes, going into topics that maybe people are scared to talk about, but I think that I just need to be my natural self and don't be too scared. Yeah,
for sure. And you mentioned like in an interview that your two biggest accomplishments was to get in Copenhagen Business School, and then the other thing was moving to a different country. But how was that transition? Was that difficult to kind of get into a completely new country and not knowing anybody?
Actually, that transition was quite difficult for me, because in Bergen, I was really engaged. I joined all the student organizations. I went to the intro week, and then I joined something called Inspire, where you hire speakers to inspire the students. And, you know, I expanded my network so much. And, you know, as in a little city as Bergen, you know, and also in university, you are like in this bubble and everyone knows everyone. And when you're going in the streets or you're going into the reading room or whatever, everyone is like, hey, that's you. Oh, yeah, yeah. And me, you know, you've started to getting to know me a little bit more now as extroverted person. I love that. I just love meeting new people, speaking with new people. And that's Little Bergen. That was perfect for me. I lived and enjoyed every moment of it. Yeah. And then I moved to Copenhagen with my previous boyfriend there. So we moved in together. And, you know, when you're in a relationship, you're kind of into that, and you're starting to like build your own bubble with your boyfriend and don't get out as much as you would do normally. But I don't think that's the main reason why it was difficult for me. That was actually quite supporting. But when I joined, I got into CBS, Copenhagen Business School, which is one of Europe's leading business schools. And I was like, I was so shocked that I even got in. I'm like, okay, I've always been working hard, getting great results. And I was the second best in my class, in the real estate class. So I've been always working, reading. I've just wanted to thrive. But when I got to CBS, one of Europe's best business schools, and everyone is like that. Like in BI, there's some people who is aiming for the top, some people who is like in the middle, and the rest is also there's also someone who's just into gaining friends and partying and
socializing,
doesn't care. Yeah. So when I came to Copenhagen, everyone was just like top performers. That was quite challenging for me because I as a top performer, you know, when you know that you are in front of you are in your road of going to success, and you're seeing yourself in different places, but then you see people doing stuff even better than you. It's like, that's inspiring. But at the same time, when you're meeting like people and they're like always thriving, always doing something better than you, always that was quite challenging for you, because it was just a change in environment. From
different
what
culture.
I've previously been done. Yeah.
It sounds like, because I haven't been that much in Denmark, but I in Norway we kind of have a mentality of stay in the middle, right? With the janteloven and everything. So it's probably a higher standard to kind of grow and work hard there, maybe with the students. And so and now and after CBS, then you what did you do then?
Yeah, so I've always been holding on to that real estate part of me. So when I came to Copenhagen in 2019, I just looked up this firm called Cushman & Wakefield, RED. It's called Real Estate Denmark. So I wrote them an email and said, hey, I want to work with you. Could we do that? And I was like, yeah, well, let's have a chat. And then I had the chat the first time I moved down to Copenhagen in August 2019. And then I got a no, because I didn't speak Danish. So yeah.
They didn't want to.
And then I'm like, okay, right. I need to gain more Danish friends. I need to learn how to speak Danish, and then I can apply again. So I did that. I started speaking Danish, and now
I speak Danish.
Now I speak Danish, yes,
nice,
fluently. And then I applied for even more position, and then I got another no. Because it was like this numbers financial role, and as I said previously, I'm not that good at calculating and doing that stuff, so I'm more like a sales profile. And then I started another job in like a prop tech startup. That was nothing for me. I did a lot of cold calling, not good at all. Done with that. So then I went, like, I was didn't have a job for 1.5 months. And I just applied for a couple of jobs. I got a job offer in London, and I got 3 different job offers at the same time in Copenhagen. Yeah. And then they called me from Cushman & Wakefield. They called me and said, hey, we have a position for you right now. And I was like, and they said, we have a position. Can you come in and speak with us tomorrow? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm coming.
You're coming.
And then I met them, and that was the perfect fit for me. Yeah.
And so you got your kind of dream job, and then you're happy, and then you're set. And so are you still, you're not doing that job still, no?
Yeah, I do. Okay. So I joined the company, and then apparently they had started a new like department in that company called Redata, where I'm the head of sales right now, where I'm kind of having the sales responsibility, talking to customers, holding presentations. It's a like commercial transactions in real estate. It's quite complicated explaining this, but it's like, if you know that when a property is sold in the commercial market, like if you're selling something that a residential property, something that you're gonna rent out, or office buildings, or everything that's on the commercial real estate market and not the private market when you're buying apartments. That market, the commercial, is very closed. It's like very close between the business people. Like they don't tell the prices, they don't tell the yields. It's not like the stock market where you can see how the curve is moving. the real estate market is really closed. It's only the people who is in the industry, people who know the people, know the right information and so on. So we're making a database to transform that, to give out more information and give out transactional data.
Very cool.
And that's where I'm now. Yeah.
And so you kind of mentioned like you have higher ambitions. You want to go to New York, you want to get a job there. And so is there a specific, because I don't know personally a lot of people who are that ambitious. And so do you know kind of where that come from? You mentioned your mom. You mentioned in an interview that she was one of your biggest role models. Where do you think why do you think you're that ambitious?
That's also quite, like, it's difficult because I think it's about the people that I'm surrounding myself with. And also I've always wanted something more because my dad is also running his own company. My mom is an architect, and we are a high educated family, but it's like, that's like high education and go into a job. But I want to run something completely myself. That's the goal, and that's my dream. That's why I also started my podcast, because I enjoy ruling my own day, ruling what should I do. No, I'm deciding that. So but the reason why I started my podcast was when I came into this real estate company. I said to you before that was my dream job. Like, I wanted to work here so much. But when I came in there, I noticed that it was not the culture that I'd hoped it would be. It is owned by 9 men.
Oh.
And where are the women who's owning this company? I was constantly asking myself that question. Where are they? I want more women in the boardroom. So then I started like, okay, maybe I could share my experiences being in this company, how it is to be a woman in a male-dominated company. So that's why I started sharing videos on Instagram and started sharing, like, I want to share my experience and some blah, blah, blah. And then someone tapped my shoulder and said, like, you should share other women's stories, because there's other women who've been through
for sure
those stuff that you're going through.
And
so
you've interviewed a couple of them.
What?
Can you share a little bit about like which female entrepreneurs you've talked to, because I think the Norwegian audience know who they are.
Yeah, sure. It's all in Norwegian, so you can go in Spotify, listen to Business Talk with Henriette. I've interviewed like a girl called Karina Godou, which is like also a female entrepreneur. I've interviewed a girl called Vilde Tellnes, which started Karma in Trondheim. I've interviewed Fattigstudent, Karen. She's also from around Bergen somewhere, started this Instagram account, and now she's developing her own app. Amazing. And I've interviewed like Emilie Nereng, which is doing she's been doing this whole transition from being like a blogger and only doing that, and now she's trying to transform the world into going into more sustainable eating. Like, how can we transform the world there? And Vilde Tellnes, she's also from Bergen.
Healthy.
Everything runs out from Bergen. Great people coming from Bergen, And then she started Healthy Eats, which is like a food company where you can get healthy food bowls or on the run. Food tech company.
And so you kind of you interview your role models in or the female entrepreneurs you wanted to see in your company, right?
Yeah.
And so,
that's right.
And now you're doing podcasting with the whole Business Talk with Henriette and everything. And so so how long have you been doing podcasting for?
I've only been doing podcasting for, now we're in April. I posted my first episode 19th of January. So I've been doing that 3 months tops. Yeah.
And so you've been doing the podcasting for a couple of months. What have you learned since you've started the podcast around podcasting, like with speaking and interviewing and everything? Because to me, I've learned just a lot of just about interviewing, about myself, controlling fear when you're doing the podcast. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think I've always been like a real, go-getter. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. That's what I did when I started my podcast. I just went out there. I didn't care so much about it being perfect. I think it's better to have like 80% than 100%, because if you're gonna go for 100% every time, it's just you're gonna use too much time on making it perfect, and then you will never get it out. So as I said to you previously as well, like just get it out there and see what the responses are. And my response has been amazing, and everyone is supporting me, and like, we need this. And yeah, I'm just overwhelmed, and it keeps me motivated to just continue. I don't remember your question now, but
but you kind of answered this. It's kind of you what have you learned about since you started the podcast? And so your listeners, what is something you want them to kind of learn from listening to the podcast?
I'm so passionate about that. More women should go out there and start their own companies. If I can get only one girl today or tomorrow to start her own company or go their own way, stop in their job position that they're in now and go for their dream, then my goal is accomplished. Even if I get one more, two more, I've done what I'm here for doing. Because I think it's so important to like share with everyone that no one is perfect, and you can just do it. I want to, like, when someone has listened to my podcast, be like, yeah, I can go out, I can do this.
Yeah, motivating people. Motivating people. It's kind of like you're inspiring, motivating maybe the younger version of you that wanted to start something.
Yeah, but I'm also young, and I'm also inexperienced right now. I'm not doing anything perfect, but if I can inspire, motivate one person, I'm happy. Just the same as I do at SUTS when I work out with other people. If I can make you do 10 more squats, I'm like, yeah, that's good. You did what's right for you today. And
Very
that's purpose-driven motivation, if we're going to speak about about
it's kind of the same. It's like you're inspiring people and wanting to share a message to get to more people. And so you mentioned like the importance of having, because I asked why are you so ambitious, and you mentioned like the importance of having people around you. And so it seems like you're very outgoing, you like networking. How do you find kind of like the like-minded people who maybe are as ambitious and wants the same thing?
How I find them, that's also an interesting question, because I think it's about the filter that you're developing yourself. Like when I was in school, you're surrounded with the people who is in your neighborhood, the friends that you always grew up with. And when you come out in the world, you come out to Copenhagen, you see that there are so much more people here that you actually can connect with. And by being like open, sharing more vulnerableness, like being more vulnerable like with people, I think that's really key to create like deep connections. Because if you open up about, if you meet someone that has been through the same things that you're going through, and you're asking them for advice, they will they will be so happy to share and give you advice on how to do it. So I think that's one part of connecting with people. But how I find them, I go everywhere. Like I go on LinkedIn, I go out in the streets, I message around,
because it can be difficult, right? Because it's like there's so many. If you mentioned, for example, that your dream job doesn't exist yet, and it's the same probably with finding that network of people. If they're not in your school, like, where do you go? Do you go on LinkedIn? Where do you go? Do you go on seminars? Do you go on? So I think it's kind of like, because maybe for a lot of, you heard this probably more than more than that like ambitious people can be a little bit lonely because there's not that many ambitious people around, right? And so I was just curious if you just are everywhere on LinkedIn and everything, or is there something you do to meet people?
I'm what I did before I started my podcast, I can share my little secret of what I did to just like get out there. When I joined the real estate industry here in Denmark, for instance, I searched for women, great women in the real estate industry. And then I just shooted a message on LinkedIn, connected, send a note, hey, I think you're doing a really important job. I met a great woman who's been a lawyer in the real estate sector for like 10 years. And now she's become like the director of asset management in a big real estate company here. Shooted her a message because I saw a news article about her. And I was like, you're fucking amazing. I'm gonna meet you. Just send her a message like, hey, do you have time for a coffee with me? I just want to talk about that because I don't feel like I find role models in this industry. I can't find them, but you are one of them. Can I meet you? And she was like, yeah. And we had to schedule a time like 3 months ahead because she's a busy woman, but I got the meeting, and then I met her, opened up about my life and my problems, and she became like the mother for me. Mentor. Here in Copenhagen. The mother in real estate.
So reaching out to the people you look up to.
Yes. And I think that's also why you're becoming so ambitious and thinking about that things are possible, because you're getting inspired by your role models. And that's why I want to also like create the role models to more people with my podcast.
And I think you do. Like I've seen kind of the interviews you've done, and it's kind of like filling a gap in the market because I think there's a lot of females that don't maybe have those role models and can hear stories of people who've made it. And so you a little bit different topic, but you mentioned in a article that if you don't get your dream job, then you would move to Austria and go to the Alps and ski and take a ski instructor course. So has that changed, or is still that the plan?
Oh, you catch me there. That article is also quite funny. I that's also in line with me being so all over the place.
Adventurous.
I've gotten that feedback from someone when I went to a job interview for L'Oreal, which was my dream job back then. Okay. That was when I had the interview. I was like in that process when I had the interview for Dagens Næringsliv, which was the article. And then I was like, if I don't get this job, I will take a year off and do something do something totally different. So I've always enjoyed being sporty, like going on skis, and I just wanted to live that ski bum life and do something total different. So that was kind of the thought behind that I just wanted to do something different, and then I could find myself probably. But I found my dream job, and here I am.
Nice. Because it's kind of like, how did you? Because I think for a lot of young people, they don't know where to begin. Like they don't know, and they're afraid to fail. They don't know what they like, and they don't know what they don't like, and so what would you say to that person who is kind of starting out and don't know what their dream job is, maybe, and who is a lot of fear around taking that first step?
Oh, that's also a good question. I think that gives a lot of value to your listeners as well, because I've also been there. When I was done with when I did my master's degree at Copenhagen Business School, I was like, I'd done one direction, I'd done dancing, I'd done real estate. Now I'm doing something. I did a master's degree in strategy, organization, and leadership, which is quite fluffy. You can do a lot of stuff. So I started to taste like, can I become a consultant? Can I become this? Can I become that? All these thoughts I could do this, that, and I didn't have a direction. So I guess where I'm coming at is that when you don't know, I think that you're confused in your head, because you know that we're born in Norway. We have the greatest opportunity in this life. We all won the lottery only by being born here. Like,
For sure.
So you know, you can go for your dream job, be super ambitious, or you could do that or that. So I think my advice would be just go one direction and just find a direction and do that the very, very best that you can. So now I've started going the podcast direction, and I love it. Just like,
yeah, very cool.
I want to do it so well, and then I'm glad every day.
Yeah, it's like it's like you taste a lot of stuff. You apply to different jobs. You got no to different jobs. Then with the real estate and now podcasting, it's kind of like it sounds by tasting a lot of stuff, you kind of found out more that what you don't want and what you've wanted.
Yeah, I totally agree, because like it's the same with food. I don't know where, I think I've heard this before, but like if you don't know if you like something before you've tasted it. So if you taste it 1 time, 2 times, and then you maybe like it, and if you taste something else that you don't like, well, okay, take that in the trash. It's okay to go out tasting, taste on different countries, taste different jobs, taste different people. That sounded really weird, but you know, do things that makes you smile. Yeah,
taste everything. Yeah, because I think I heard the same thing with ice cream flavors. It's kind of like you don't know your favorite ice cream if you haven't tried them all. If you've only tasted vanilla, then you don't know if you like pistachio or salted caramel. This is kind of the same thing.
You definitely like salted caramel or chocolate. That's my favorite.
That's your favorite. Yeah. So because I remember it's maybe a little bit similar story to you, where I was afraid to try. I didn't, because it's kind of like I think back in their head they know what they want to do. But it's kind of like that, the fear of putting yourself out there and failing and applying to jobs and getting no's, right? And so, and you mentioned, for example, in an Instagram post that there was a lot of fear when you had to put yourself out there and kind of share and be vulnerable to starting something completely new. And how have you been able to kind of deal with that fear and to put yourself out there more?
Yeah, because like before starting my podcast or the Instagram account, I probably started the Instagram account around end December, and then I had like 4 followers. And that was like my mom and my dad. Or I don't think I told it to my mom and my dad, and yeah, that was quite long. But like my closest friends, like, just, hey, I'm just trying out this new concept. Give me feedback if you want to. I was just like more like janteloven in Norway. Like you shouldn't think of yourself as something bigger than you are. Because that was what I was most scared of. Like that friends from my hometown would think of me like, okay, what the fuck does she think she is? Like, why is she doing this? But really, I think people are thinking that they wish they could do the same if they are in the same like if they like to be extroverted or like to speak with people. Yeah, if they have the same goals, but people have different goals as well. We're not the same. We're quite different. So I think someone is made for podcasting, as you and me. And you're doing very well. You're following up my questions really well. I'm feeling great being here. It's giving me a lot talking. It's really, really nice. No one has asked me these questions before. Like,
yeah, it's very, very cool to hear. Because I can relate. It's like when you first start out, you don't want to see when your friends listen to it, or if it's like old high school people and putting yourself out there and not being like braggy or thinking that you're better than everyone, right?
But I think I have like, I've tried to have like more this approach of being myself. I'm trying to play with it, just try to be funny and not make it as perfect. Like I don't want to be picture perfect. I'm like, I have quirks and things and stuff. I'm
being weird.
Like before I'm doing a podcast, I'm like this. I normally, if I would be perfect, I would like straighten my hair, make curls, put on an extra layer of makeup. I haven't done that now because I don't care. It's like, this is the makeup I put up on this morning, because it's not important about how I look. It's important what I say and what I do and how consistent I am. I want to be consistent and do this as long as it's sustainable for me and everyone around me. Yeah.
But how did you kind of deal with that fear? Because I think that's for a lot of people, like that's the thing that's kind of holding them that back, like not wanting friends and family maybe to judge them, and their fear of kind of being rejected, right? Or that judgment. So what was the thing that kind of made you take that leap of faith, or take that, or post that first podcast, right?
I think it's if we're gonna go way back from my childhood, I've always been supported by my family. My family hasn't kind of said to me, "Oh, now you need to be a doctor. You should be a lawyer. You should do this." They haven't put on stuff that I need to do. They have been, they said like, if you want to do dancing, do dancing. If you want to do real estate, do real estate. They've always supported me. So that's probably the ground thing. But it's also one more thing. I think that support has made me confident.
Yeah.
And I think if you have like a little confidence, I get bad thoughts like, oh, you are, like, no, get scared, I get those feelings as well, but I just need to put them away and think about, okay, I have this and I need to do that. I don't know if that makes sense.
But sure. It's like,
how did you deal with that fear? Because you're out there as well.
It's maybe the same thing. It's like having the right support group around you, to kind of, if you only hear don't do that, then it's a lot harder to kind of get started. Or if you have negative friends that's going to say you shouldn't do that, or that's weird, and so I totally agree that having that support around you is super important, because kind of you're the average of the 5 people and you surround yourself with. But other than that, I think just I try to kind of imagine because it's kind of like you want to do something, but it crashes with the fear, right? And so what I kind of envision is, what's it's going to look like if I don't do it. So say, for example, and I use fear. So having fear of what my life would look like if I don't do it, I kind of use that as so if I can't get the fear away, I can use fear to take that first step. And then to just, like you said, consistency and doing it more. It's like maybe you feel a lot of fear with your first post, but then after you've done 4 or 5 or 6 or 10, then it becomes easier.
Yes, that's exactly also why in my podcast is saying, and all the ladies that I'm interviewing is saying that just start, just do the first post, just do the first meeting, just do the first pitch, just do that first thing, because that's what we call in Norway the dørstokkmila, when you're getting up in the morning, you're going to the gym and you're laying in bed and you're like, oh, you're getting these fear, it's cold outside, you can compare it to that. But when you've taken the step outside, you're like, you're so proud of yourself because you did the first step, and that first step will make it easier to do it the next time.
For sure.
So I think that with my podcast as well, when I published my first episode, it was really scary, but at the same time I had gone over that dørstokkmila. I don't know how you translate that, but yeah.
I don't think there's a translation in English.
No.
But yeah, because it's because I remember like when you it's kind of like your mind being very negative and over dramatizing that it's going to go bad. And so a question that I kind of instead of thinking, oh, it's going to go bad, what if it goes well, like it has happened for you? You've probably been surprised by the response you've got and kind of the support. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also imagine myself the same thing as you do, really pretty well articulated, that see yourself, what would have happened if you didn't do it. But if you do, how would your life look like that? Then I think that if I'm continuing being consistent and continuing my podcast, sharing my passion, I know that my passion will develop, and I know that I will reach the goals that I'm
That's
seeking
really
for.
interesting. Like you said, because people normally say find your passion and not develop your passion, and I kind of agree. It's like you do something, and then the more you do it, then the more you kind of develop the passion for it. I totally agree.
Because I think that's grounding in me, like foundational. I've always been noticing the difference between girls and boys, and always wanted to be a strong businesswoman myself, and I want that for everyone else as well. So I just love speaking about that. And I think I think everyone has that kind of passion for something, and when you're saying finding it, it's like that you're going to build, like grow, like try to find something in yourself. But I think you have to discover it. Well, like it's not like you cannot make up a passion of yourself. You cannot, okay, now I'm gonna be completely passionate about say pants or clothing or whatever. Like I'm gonna be that now, and then I'm gonna do it. I think you can hold that up for say 1 or 2 or 3 years, and then you will stop because your motivation's not there.
And with your mom being kind of like that role model, right? With the being that ambitious and kind of doing the things that maybe you want, or some things that you want also. What are some of the qualities she has that you kind of look up to and kind of want to adopt yourself?
Oh, it's quite funny that you're asking. Yeah, she's always she's very, very kind, but also very strict. She's been very strict with me sometimes. Sorry, Mom, if you listen to this episode. But she has some clear meanings, and she's also giving a lot of herself. She's been like her whole life has been about me and my little sister Camilla. And we've 2 girls growing up together with my mom and my dad. I'm coming from this really like 4 people I've been living in the same house, born in 97, living in that house from birth until I was 18, moved to Bergen and then Copenhagen. But my mom has always been there for me, and we have this close relationship where we speak about everything. And I think that's important to be able to be totally honest with at least 1 or 2 people in your life, so that you can that you're not closing off feelings. I'm a pretty emotional person as well, so I need to get them out to come further as well.
The thoughts and everything. And so you also mentioned in because we in the difficulties with kind of the thoughts, and it's important to have the right support around you. And you also mentioned like one of the best advice you got is don't be too excited for the future that you forget to live kind of in the present moment. And so is there anything you do to remind yourself of that, or to become more present?
Wow, you have done really great work, research. Like how that's my mom's been giving me these quotes, like, because I've always been that can also be connected to my passion, my ambitiousness, because I'm always seeing the future. I'm always excited for the future. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to travel there, or next year I'm going to do that, or I'm always like chasing something more the next day or whatever. What I'm going to do tomorrow? Oh, done with one thing. What I'm going to do next? Right. So that makes me not so grounded. I need to be more grounded and be like, I enjoy this exact moment, because this is life. Put my phone away and just be present. I think that's the message in it. And I think, especially now with social media and everything out there, just take time for yourself and be in the moment. Yeah.
Because it can be, it's finding that balance between being ambitious and looking for the future and having goals, and also just finding space where you can enjoy the here and now. Because I think a lot of people get trapped in always looking for the future and always striving for more and not having enough, right? Because the reason why it's like, is there anything you do? Do you have reminders? Is there anything you do to become more present, or to do you get rid of your phone or do anything like that?
Right now, lately, I'm not so proud of myself at that exact space, because I've been so obsessed with my podcast. So I've been like checking my phone all the time. It's always happening something new. And it's like, oh, a new follower. Oh, who is this? Oh, yeah. And there's like new stuff. And I'm going into the statistics of the podcast, checking who's been listening and checking my phone, calling. Yeah. So I've been not so good at that. But to improve myself, what should I do? I think I should be more... I'm a structured person. I like to plan, but it's also difficult to plan in a really busy everyday life. So plan more and put off like specific time slots for when I'm going to be on my phone and when I'm not going to be on my phone. I think that will be a good thing. Also continue exercising, go working out. I love working out in the mornings before I go to work, because then I can relax when I get home or work with my podcast. So I'm like, my days is like wake up at 6, go to Stats, work out from 7 to 8, and then bike to work there from 9 to 5, coming home, editing or recording a podcast episode from 6 to 7, joining your podcast from 8
it's
to
9 p.m. right now for people listening. It's like we work from 9 to 5 and then we do the podcasting after.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm like, when I'm at work, I'm like, oh, I need to get on with this, because then I can get home doing my podcast. Yeah. So I think that's the day. And that's what I need to do to get where I want. If that requires a lot of work, I will do that.
Yeah.
But always remember to, and when you're I remember to lay down in the sauna at Sats. I just lay there in 10 minutes, don't think about anything. I've been trying meditating, not so good at that. I think I might have a little snip of ADHD. I don't know. I don't think I have that, but sorry. Clip that away. but I sleep well.
Yeah.
That's also important. I try to get to bed at 10, 11 o'clock so that I can wake up early. Party in the weekends.
Yeah, a lot of
partying. Sometimes. Now, no, not so much lately. I've been traveling lately, and I feel kind of bad for my friends because I want to join. I also have a FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah. So that's also something I'm working with. I want to do everything, you know. Yeah. So I need to find focus, and my focus right now is my work and my podcast, and everything that comes. Yeah, that's my focus.
Is there, because I don't think people realize like the work it takes to kind of get to where you want to be, and also like you said you always like look for the future and set goals. Is that something you do like mindfully, like you set specific goals you want to hit and kind of go through what's it's going to take to get there?
Yeah, I do. I did that in the start of the year, where I sat myself down and said like, okay, I'm going to do this podcast now. And my goal is that and it's quite insane thinking about it now, my goal for 2022 was that I was going to gain 1,000 followers on Instagram. I'm 5 followers away from that now, and that was for the whole year. And I'm like, fuck. And then my other goal was to meet Silje Landevåg, which is like a female entrepreneur, which is also, she started Get Inspired. Now she's an investor. really inspiring from the same place as me. And now I'm meeting her in April. So I'm like,
Very cool.
I've reached my 2022 goals in 3 months. I'm like,
that's crazy.
what my next goal? Like, yeah.
Because it's I think a lot of people just don't have goals, and it's kind of like they're afraid to set them because if they miss, they feel bad, and they don't want to set big goals because it's kind of like that's too big for me, right? Because you could,
yeah, maybe that's maybe that's why I just maybe I put them too low.
Yeah, it's kind of
Maybe
like
I
it's
should
better
have had
to
higher.
have bigger goals and miss than have lower goals than hit it, right? Because if you probably said 10,000 maybe, then right, it's bigger and you have more room to kind of go.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like New York. So when are you moving to New York?
Oh, that's a good question as well. Soon, I think. I don't have anything specific, or I'm traveling there in start of May, hoping to actually connect with some people there, trying to figure out how I can build my future there in, let's say 1-2 years. I don't know. I think that's also something that you just need to jump out into. Like I've been thinking about it since 2017. I was reading Frederick Eklund's book. Do you know Frederick Eklund?
I don't think so.
No, he's like he's Swedish, and then he moved to New York.
Oh yeah, the real estate guy.
Yes,
I know him. Yes, I know him. I've seen his videos with the tours. Yeah, for sure.
So he's selling these amazing homes, and he's been on $1 million listing, and he's just from Sweden, right? So this is quite close to Norway. He got to New York selling paninis on the street, and were like discovered on the street, and like, you're a good seller. You should try to become a real estate agent. And he was like, yeah, let's try it. And now he's like the #1 selling real estate agent in New York. And I'm like, if he can do it going from Sweden to New York, why shouldn't I do it? Or why shouldn't I make it too?
That's big, because it's like, why not me? It's kind of big. It's like, why can't I do it, right?
Yeah.
Because
what's your goals?
It's to kind of so my goal for 2022 with the podcasting was to make 1 episode each week. So that would be 50 podcast episodes for the year. And it's difficult with kind of to kind of hit. I don't like to hit like specific targets with like 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers. Just I want to kind of keep the discipline of doing it, and kind of having, okay, how many episodes and how many Instagram like short videos I make, or TikTok videos. So that's one goal with business, and kind of just expanding my network, and like asking people to come to the podcast with you. And so, and also with health, I love working out also, and doing that. So a lot of different goals. So yeah, with your podcast now, what is your kind of vision for the podcast in the future?
So I started out creating episodes in Norwegian. Of course, I want to expand to the international market, like going out of the boundaries of Norway's again, going out there, speaking English. And then I also have the opportunity to speak with more exciting guests. I don't say it's many exciting people in Norway, but at one point you have spoken with them all. And yeah. And then I need to find someone else. So I want to build my podcast and also a community around it. So my goal is that I'm also quite interested into crypto and NFTs.
Nice.
Web3. Yeah. So I'm doing a little bit of research.
So what in terms of like the NFTs, and are you investing yourself?
Yeah, so I've been investing not in a specific NFT, but I've been investing in crypto a lot. Too much, really. It's like it's going down and up, and I'm like getting heart attack by looking at those numbers. But I'm like, stay patient. Yeah. So my goal with my podcast is that I want to make like a business around the community of female entrepreneurs. So if you buy like a business Henriette NFT or whatever it's going to be called,
cool.
You will get access to the community to speak with the female entrepreneurs that I've been interviewing in my podcast. So if you want to become a female entrepreneur and you want to sell clothes, okay, then you can speak with Hilde. You want to make an app for food, okay, then you should speak with Karen. You know, when you have that NFT, you have access to the community, the people, and also events, courses, resources. I want to build like you could build like a fund, funding female entrepreneurs, making an incubator, making, you know,
a big
startup
community.
labs. You could do so much.
Yeah,
and building that on the blockchain, which is the future.
I don't hear a lot of it because I have guy friends that are into crypto and some females that are into crypto and the whole Web 3.0. So it's very cool to kind of hear your interest and kind of your depths of knowledge around it. Is very cool. So you plan on making your own NFTs in the future?
Yeah, let's say that.
Cool. Yeah, very cool. And who do you kind of listen to or follow to learn about the whole NFT stuff? Do you have any family members or any friends who learn about NFTs and crypto?
I also follow some Norwegian influencers, which is talking about NFTs. Yuri Aftedal is talking a lot about it. I'm also friends with her. We've been discussing a lot of stuff into the crypto world. So I'm discussing with people, looking YouTube videos, downloading all the apps, looking into Discord, you know, OpenSea, just discovering what's out there. Yeah, but I wish it was more, especially in Norway. There's not so much resources in Norway yet. And I think it's quite undiscovered in Norway, and especially into the female space. So I'm like trying to learn a bit more about it and the technology. I don't know that much about the technology. If I was going to start in my whole NFT business, I would need like a CTO. I would need someone who could code and mint all the NFTs, the transactions, which is called the minting, and then I would need like an artist, guy or
a
girl,
graphic designer, or
design it, and then I would need myself with creating the community and connecting the dots. So I think that's what I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's very cool. I wasn't expecting kind of like that vision for the podcast. It's very cool to kind of build that community of people where they can have resources to learn, and you can help them with achieving their goals. Very cool. With so we can go into some last questions here. If you would give some advice to your younger self, so say for example, if 15-year-old Henriette, what would you say to her?
15-year-old Henriette. No, I was I was always been really childish. So when I was younger, I wasn't that popular. I was like had my close friend group with girls, and we were dancing in the forest and doing like weird stuff, you know. I've never been like one of the cool girls. So I've always been childish, and I enjoy that because I think that also reflects the way I'm today and the way that I work hard. But for me, I would say that everything's going to work out. You will make it if you just work hard, and you know, I think that you can achieve big things in this world.
Having belief is very important. It's kind of like, I think that's the biggest thing, just believing that it's possible to kind of just do it. And because it's like, if you don't believe, then you're not going to start, or you're not going to take that action to kind of do it.
No.
So it's a very important thing. And if anyone wants to kind of check out what you're doing and where can people find you in terms of socials and everything?
Yeah, that's a good question. If people want to connect with me, I love receiving messages. So just shoot me a message and I will answer when I have my social media hours. You can find me on Business Henriette, which is my Instagram account. You can also find me on Henriette Husby, which is my name on my regular Instagram account. You can find me in my whole name, Henriette Husby, on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's normally where I am.
Are you going to come on YouTube soon?
Do you want me to come on YouTube?
I want to see YouTube videos of the podcast.
But I'm sharing like this small extracts in reels on Instagram.
Yeah, I it's just an idea. I would like to see the kind of the whole version in video probably. That'd be.
Do you think many people would watch that? It's quite a long video. It's like a whole hour. How many people would really watch that?
Maybe a few. I think like there's probably it's like giving everyone the alternative if they want to watch it, right? It's like if because I kind of just share everything. So I have long format, short format, and then the audio format. So whatever like fits their time schedule. It's like because you have some cool guests on, and maybe people want to see their faces. So yeah, maybe.
Great idea. Yeah, I need to consider that going on YouTube. I think I will go on YouTube, and then soon, if I'm going into the NFT space, I will need to be on Discord and Twitter to like connect there. But I'm not there yet, so it's a journey.
Very cool. Yes, I think that we can sum it up there. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And so this is going to be episode 7 for the podcast listeners. So it's going to be very fun. So I think we can just say bye-bye, and I'm excited to listen to people's feedback for this episode, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Bye-bye.